Chapter 2. Individualism, Social Change, and Youth Culture in the 1960s. During the 1960s, individualism and egocentrism became increasingly prominent within society. Ethical values, morality, and human rights were often interpreted through a highly individualistic lens. Respect for authority and adherence to civil laws declined, while behaviors that challenged social norms became more visible. Drug use and sexual expression were frequently displayed openly, reflecting a belief that individuals should not feel shame in expressing their personal feelings or desires. Personal gratification increasingly took precedence over communal responsibility and consideration for others. Influence of Eastern philosophies, Eastern ideologies and philosophies played a significant role in shaping individualistic thinking during this period. Many individuals came to view religious and philosophical doctrines as absolute and deeply personal. Popular expressions such as "the ultimate truth lies within and each person must find their own path to truth" reflected this mindset. However, this emphasis on inward focus often contributed to increased alienation among youth, distancing them from cooperative and harmonious relationships within society. Eastern teachings were sometimes used to justify personal beliefs and actions without regard for broader social responsibilities. Humanism and existentialism. Alongside Eastern philosophies, alternative Western philosophies such as humanism and existentialism gained influence during the 1960s. Both schools of thought emphasized self-realization and individual autonomy. Existentialism, for example, asserted that individuals are free to choose their own meaning in life. According to this view, meaning is not externally imposed, but created through subjective personal experiences. Ethical standards were seen as individually determined, with the individual serving as the primary judge of right and wrong. Similarly, humanism promoted the concept of the self-actualized individual, one who achieves fulfillment through introspection, personal growth, and the pursuit of individual interests and virtues. Humanist thought encouraged individuals to question conformity in traditional societal norms. Autonomy, self-direction, and personal choice were considered essential to realizing one's full potential. Together, existentialism and humanism reinforced the idea that individuals should seek fulfillment independently of social conventions. Drug use and altered consciousness. In addition to philosophical influences, many young people during the 1960s were drawn to illegal drug use. Drugs were often viewed as tools for expanding consciousness and accessing alternative dimensions of reality, commonly referred to as acid trips. Combined with philosophical doctrines emphasizing inner truth and self-exploration, drug use became a method for altering perception and experiencing reality in new ways. For many youth, this practice became routine and central to their lifestyle. The hippie movement. Many young people became identified as hippies or flower children. Hippies were typically distinguished by their unconventional clothing, colorful garments featuring idealistic symbols, long hair, use of slang, frequent drug use, and strong association with rock music. Political, social, and economic grievances were central themes within the hippie movement. Common slogans included "Stop the war," "Make peace," and "Make love, not war." The hippie lifestyle represented an idealized image that appealed to many young people and children. The hippie movement. Hippies often adopted unconventional living arrangements. Some lived in vans, parks, communes, or rural areas. Men, women, and sometimes children shared communal living spaces. In traditional standards regarding privacy, sexual relationships, and family structure were often rejected. Life within these communities was intentionally different from mainstream society and from the values of the older generation. Youth, influence, and social behavior. Although not all young people fully adopted the hippie lifestyle, many displayed some of its characteristics. Youth commonly imitated aspects of hippie dress, speech, behavior, or attitudes. The image of the hippie became a powerful social symbol that influenced nearly all young people in some form. Public concern focused less on appearance and more on behavior. Acts of rebellion against authority became common, including resistance toward parents, educators, and civil authorities. Delinquent behaviors such as shoplifting, vandalism, drug use, running away from home, and other illegal activities were reported with increasing frequency. These actions were often linked to the prevailing beliefs and lifestyles embraced by segments of the youth population. Impact on children and families. The cultural movement of the 1960s affected individuals across the nation, including adults and children. Children born during this period were especially influenced, often through older siblings who embraced alternative lifestyles. Younger children frequently imitated the behaviors and attitudes they observed, assuming them to be acceptable and desirable. Beyond the family, older youth in the community also served as role models. Children learned patterns of speech, behavior, and self-expression by observing adolescents they admired. Media further amplified these influences. Rock musicians, films, Television programs, magazines, and newspapers portrayed nonconformity and rebellion in a positive light, often glamorizing defiance of authority and law, changing attitudes towards sex, marriage, and gender roles. Significant shifts occurred in attitudes towards sex and marriage. Sexual relationships outside of marriage became increasingly accepted, and cohabitation without legal marriage grew more common. Traditional views of marriage and family structure lost prominence as individuals prioritized personal happiness and freedom. The women's liberation movement also emerged as a major force during the 1960s. Women increasingly challenged traditional gender roles, seeking careers and independence beyond domestic responsibilities. Many women began to view themselves as autonomous individuals capable of directing their own lives without reliance on male support. Philosophical ideas rooted in existentialism and humanism provided a framework for this shift, emphasizing self-identity, independence, and personal fulfillment. Although women continued to face limited opportunities in political and corporate leadership, the movement laid an essential foundation for future generations. It established new models of identity and possibility that would gradually expand women's roles in society. Transition into the 1970s. As the 1960s gave way to the 1970s, alternative lifestyles became increasingly normalized. Cohabitation without marriage grew more accepted, and society became more tolerant of non-traditional living arrangements. The emphasis on personal choice and individual happiness continued to shape social attitudes, reinforcing a cultural shift toward individual freedom and self-determination.